Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. And we have some breaking news here ahead of the 2023 NHL trade deadline as the New York Rangers saw what the Islanders did last week and said, yeah, you know what? We want some of that smoke. We're going to try and do you one better. The New York Rangers have acquired Vladimir Tarasenko and Niko Mikkola in a blockbuster trade. We're going to take a look at that today. So, the actual trade itself, it was kind of a weird way this kind of went about. We a couple of hours ago heard that that Tarasenko had been traded to the Rangers, and the follow through from that was just very interesting, right? It was the first reports Tarasenko was traded, then we heard Niko Mikkola was part of the deal, then we heard Sammy Blais was going the other way, and then everything started to materialize. So I had to wait to actually make this video because I wanted the full details, and this is pretty much as good as we're going to get. The official deal has been released. Vladimir Tarasenko and Niko Mikkola go to the New York Rangers. In exchange, the St. Louis Blues acquire a first-round pick this year, a fourth-round pick, Sammy Blais, and Hunter Skinner. So let's break down the actual deal itself. So to start things off, we're going to go for the St. Louis Blues. So the St. Louis Blues acquire a conditional first-round pick here in 2023, which will be the lower of the Rangers' two first-round picks this year, and it is the Rangers' first round pick and the Dallas Stars. So basically, whoever gets kicked out of the playoffs first, they will have that draft pick. Or whoever is last, whoever goes the furthest in the playoffs, the Blues will get that pick. The fourth round pick in 2024 becomes a third round pick if the Rangers make the playoffs this year. So the Blues will actually be cheering on the Rangers here to try and move up that pick from a fourth to a third round pick in 2024. Hunter Skinner is a former 2019 fourth round draft pick. The defenseman, who is a right shot defenseman, has split his time between the AHL's Hartford Wolfpack and the ECHL's, I think it's the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. I'm pretty sure that's the Rangers ECHL affiliate. At least it was last year. You guys will let me know down below. But at the very least, he has been playing a lot back and forth between Pro Hockey AHL and Pro Hockey ECHL. He's still 21 years old. Like I said, he's still a younger guy. So this is a player that's still going to develop and is a good defensive prospect for the Blues. And somebody that I think they see a future in the NHL, of course. Sammy Blais has 5 points in 40 games this season. He was originally a St. Louis Blue. He was a part of that Pavel Buchnevich trade a couple of years back until they traded him with a second-round pick to the Rangers for Buchnevich. He's a pending UFA, making $1.5 million this season. So overall, the Blues, just to put it together, they pick up a late first-round pick, a fourth-round pick that could become a third, Sammy Blais, who is a pending UFA, probably going to stay in St. Louis, I would think, and a good defensive prospect, Hunter Skinner. The New York Rangers, of course, they acquire Niko Mikkola, who is an interesting asset in this deal. He's a 26-year-old defenseman with 3 points in 50 games this season, and he is a pending UFA, making $1.9 million this season. What's interesting about Mikkola, we haven't heard that much about him necessarily, but this is a good pickup for the Rangers. Niko Mikkola is okay. Yeah, he has 3 points in 50 games, but that's not why the Rangers acquired Mikkola. He's a tough, big defenseman, and this is a guy that is kind of a Swiss Army knife on the Rangers' top six blue line. You know, he could kind of go anywhere, and I think that's the biggest asset to Mikkola here is he's very mobile, and not, you know, as he is on the ice as a skater, he is mobile. He is mobile throughout the lineup, and I think that's a critical factor here because let's say the top line defenseman goes down, God forbid for the Rangers, right? They don't have to move everybody around. Mikkola can go there. He could go to the second pair. He could go to the third pair. So I think he's very mobile in that sense, and as a guy that the Rangers could probably keep long-term if they really wanted to. And I think that's really an asset here. And again, he's 26 years old, so there is a little bit there. And to be honest, I think that's a sign of things to come for the Rangers. If, God forbid, they ever traded Ryan Lindgren, Niko Mikkola could potentially be a cheaper option. Again, I know Rangers fans love Ryan Lindgren, but that's a guy to keep an eye out. And of course, the best piece in this trade at the moment is Vladimir Tarasenko. Absolutely no doubt. Tarasenko has 10 goals and 29 points in 38 games this season so far with the St. Louis Blues. He's 31 years old and is a pending unrestricted free agent with a $7.5 million annual average value. The deal is also where the Rangers are getting 50% of that salary, so they only have to pay him the cap hit, quote unquote, for Tarasenko is only 3.75, as the St. Louis Blues have also retained 50% of Tarasenko's contract. So what do I think of the deal? There's a lot to unpack in this trade, and shout out to the Rangers. I love you guys, and I hate you guys at the same time, because I just made about 4 videos talking about Tarasenko, a video about the Rangers, and it was kind of just beating a dead horse, but what I was talking about in that video is, should the Rangers, everybody's talking about, okay, is it Kakko or Lafreniere? And I brought up the conversation, crazy thought. Why don't you just keep both and trade some of your other prospects? And that's what the Rangers were able to do here. And they killed, what's the saying? They killed 2 birds with 1 stone in this deal. They picked up a gritty defenseman that's going to be great for a playoff run. And they picked up another top 6 scoring player. The Rangers did it all in this deal. And the fact that they still have Kakko and Lafreniere and Kravtsov, and now they have Tarasenko on this team, oh boy, this is going to be a tough New York Rangers team. And I got to be honest, the Metropolitan Division is going to be really, really tough here down the stretch, right? We're seeing the artillery starting to load up in that Metropolitan Division. The Islanders picking up Bo Horvat. The Rangers picking up Tarasenko. This is a really, really interesting division, and I expect Carolina and the Devils to make some moves here. Things are about to get very interesting in the East, and expect the Atlantic Division, the Bruins, and some of those teams to make some moves. This is going to be very, very interesting. It's an absolute arms race in the Eastern Conference. With that said, that puts to bed all the rumors about Patrick Kane. I think at the moment, Patrick Kane is probably going to end up going to Dallas or Boston, if he ends up moving at all. I think the Rangers saw the questionability of his health and the recent injury history, and they said, listen, we're just not going to give you Kakko or Lafreniere for an injury-riddled 35-year-old forward. Just doesn't make sense for us. And shout out to Mario V. You're the man. You're a big Rangers supporter here on the channel. For a New York Islanders-centric channel, obviously I support the Ranger fans here on the channel, and he's one of my biggest supporters. Shout out to him. I really think this is a great move for the Rangers. It didn't cost them an arm and a leg. It cost them a first-round pick, which they had multiple of. Sammy Blais, they didn't really like him here anyway. Hunter Skinner is one of their lesser defensive prospects, who is probably going to be pretty good, but a 4th-round pick. So when you really consider all of that said, not a bad deal. The only problem with this is these 2 guys, depending on what happens, might not be able to stay long-term with the Rangers. Now, there is more to be said here. I think this is indicative of the future of some of the other players here. The Rangers could keep Tarasenko and Mikkola at the cost of maybe Kakko and Lafreniere this summer. I think the Rangers are going to reevaluate both of those players and potentially trade both of them this summer. And or at the very least, one of them. I think Kakko's on his way out. I think they want to keep Mikkola or Tarasenko at the very least. At least one of them, maybe both of them, right? And the reality is, some of those guys have not been performing. And maybe we see Kravtsov and stuff like that get moved. But the Rangers have their group now. They got the forward. They got the defenseman. I would say they're mostly done going into this year's deadline. They don't need to make any moves, right? They have the best of both worlds. They have a ton of depth up front, a ton of depth on the back end. I'm trying to think how good this Rangers team is going to look, right? I mean, just imagining that lineup right now is kind of dangerous. Like the Rangers right now, this is going to be a juggernaut of a hockey team. And when you consider all things considered, this is the team to beat. And Carolina, watch out. And the Devils, watch out. The Rangers are legit here. And like I said, I think this is going to be a ripple effect and causing other teams in that division to make moves. So I'm definitely interested to see what happens with guys like Timo Meier. Specifically, a guy like Tarasenko coming off the board. That's another big guy like Bo Horvat off the board. Probably trade deadline day is going to be a little bit less exciting now that Tarasenko and Horvat are gone, and I'm sure more names. We're still 3 weeks away from the trade deadline, and we're already seeing some pretty massive trades coming down the pipeline. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of the New York Rangers acquiring Vladimir Tarasenko and Niko Mikkola? Let me know your guys' thoughts. And St. Louis Blues fans, what do you guys think? Tarasenko is no longer going to be a St. Louis Blue. I think that's a kind of weird thing to consider that, Tarasenko is going to be in a Rangers jersey. There was also reports earlier today that, this has been going on for a long time. The Rangers were really in on Tarasenko, even as all the way back to last summer, right? When we were hearing those reports that Tarasenko was linked to teams in the Eastern Conference. And of course, one of those teams was the Broadway Blue Shirt New York Rangers. Guys, in terms of who won the trade, I think right now it's the Rangers because I think they got the two best players in the deal. And considering, the potential of keeping those guys long term, I think that's a real win for the Rangers. But again, if the Blues figured, listen, we're not keeping these guys long term anyway. We know that we're not going to make the playoffs. Let's see what we can get. They got decent value for these guys nonetheless. But overall, I think the Rangers are gearing up for a really good playoff run. And it didn't cost them the big prospects that everybody was expecting them to. So guys, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.